What's going on, guys? I don't typically like to talk about like very serious stuff that's going on in the world. Um, Hold on. Okay, so, anyways, I don't like to talk about very serious subjects that are going on in the world. Those of you guys who know or keep up with the news and everything know that everything that's going on in the United States, and I mean it's trickling off into other countries too. And I it's not that I avoid talking about subjects like this. Like I do in a way because I don't like to worry about things that go on in the world because there's so many problems, and if you do, then it makes you miserable. But I wanted to talk about this because it's a very serious thing that it's affecting a lot of people. It's affecting my home city, which is only 2 hours away from me. My family lives over there. Um, and over here it's trickling over here a little bit too. So I kind of wanted to talk about something that's very, very serious and um, give my 2 cents about it and tell you guys my story. Um, because of the serious nature of this, there's not going to be any sort of like alerts for people subscribing and nothing like that. No, this is no music in the background. We're just gonna talk, and it's gonna I'm gonna tell you guys my story. I'm not gonna address the chat until I'm done, and then I'm gonna go. Um, I am I'm not white despite the color of my skin. I'm Hispanic. Um, and I want to talk to you guys because this is a very serious situation that it's affecting everybody regardless of the color of your skin. Okay? And growing up, I've had to deal with a lot of racism and a lot of hate towards myself, my friends, my family, and it's not easy. It's not easy because when people look at you, and it's true, when people look at you, they see the color of your skin. I've been, and when I say this is a serious conversation, this is a serious conversation. I've been called cracker. I've been called whitey. I've been called spick. I've been called Jew. I've been called so many different racial slurs. It's you build up not a tolerance for it, but you build up a thick skin to where it just doesn't bother you, or you just ignore it, but it still stays with you. And growing up, it was very difficult for me, like more so than my parents ever knew or realized. And it's not like I didn't grow up in a poor situation. We were, I guess, like middle to lower middle class, something like that. I don't know. And so I went to public school and stuff like that. And elementary was fine, but middle school kids are different. And I've faced a lot of racism in middle school. And this is in Miami. This is in Miami. I faced a lot of racism in middle school growing up, and I faced racism against Hispanics, like my own race. I faced racism against white kids. I faced racism against black kids. I got picked on a lot because I was this, I weighed 110 pounds. I was like 5'4" in middle school. I was this little skinny kid who was very awkward and lanky and very easy to push around and stuff like that. And so in middle school I got into a lot of fights. Because because of the color of skin. I got into fights with Hispanics because I was lighter skinned. I got into fights with black kids because I was this light skinned skinny kid, and over stupid stuff too. Over stupid stuff. I got into a fight with this Hispanic kid and his friends, not just one. I got into a fight with this Hispanic kid and his friends just for walking in front of them. And the fight started right after lunch, where you're done eating lunch, you go out into like your cattle, and you're hoarded into a what they called spill out, but it's basically an enclosure. And I was surrounded by this kid and his friends, and everybody chanting out "fight, fight, fight!" And this kid is swinging at me, trying to hurt me, and I wasn't letting him. And the security guards came, and everybody scattered, and I walked to my classroom. And as I'm walking to my classroom, I was being followed and didn't know. And this kid and his Hispanic friends came up and threw me against the wall. And I fought back, and then security came, and they ran away again. And then I was taken to the principal's office. Not them. I was taken. I didn't get in trouble per se. I did get in trouble, but they didn't suspend me or anything because they could see everything that was going on. They didn't suspend me, but they didn't see what the other kids looked like or who they were, so they didn't do anything about it. I got into another fight with this black kid because he wanted to play a basketball game with us, and that was fine. We didn't have a problem with it. We just told him, okay, just wait a few minutes, let us finish this game, and then we'll jump you in, and then we're good to go, and we'll repick the teams and everything. I had friends of all sorts of races, colors, whatever. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care. My best friend would, for the longest time was black. And so, the kid, he got upset and he punched me. I don't know why he did that, but he punched me. And so, I got, I retaliated and I punched back. And we were taken to what they called CSI in my school. And while we were there, they called their parents. The person who was in charge of CSI or whatever, I don't even know what other schools would call it, but the person in charge, he was a black teacher as well. And so what happened was I ended up getting suspended for the rest of the year. And he didn't. Because he was black and the teacher was black. So they didn't suspend him, they suspended me. Because I was light-skinned. Racism comes in every forms, every way. It doesn't matter what color skin you are, you're going to face some sort of racism. It's how you react to that and how you learn from those experiences that make you the person who you become. And I didn't hold it against any other black person because of that situation growing up or any other situations that arose growing up at, high school and so on. It wasn't. I didn't. It didn't upset me that way. It upset me because it did come down to race. And it came down to it because in my school, most of the teachers were black. Most of the upper staff was black in my school. So, in my school, they favored black-skinned children. And that, I understand. I understand because there's a lot of situations where they don't. I understand there's a lot of schools that there's predominantly white teachers and they favor the white students. I understand that. And so I don't hold it against any of them, because they're looking out for the students who would normally be underprivileged, and I understand that. The reason why I wanted to tell you guys my stories is because I see all of this going around, and it sucks so much. And the thing is, like, you can't look at the media, you can't listen to the media, because you have no idea who's right and who's not. You have no idea who to believe in anything that's going on, because you'll see one thing in the media and you'll see something else on social media for people posting alternate videos. My wife has family who are police officers, who are good police officers. One of my cousins, she's for the better part, if she never spoke Spanish, you would think that she was black, because her skin is black. My blood cousin. But she's Hispanic. So she has been racially profiled as being black as well. I remember is one time with my best friend. I'm not going to say last names or anything like that, just for privacy purposes and whatnot. But my best friend, Brandon, I loved him. He was my brother. We haven't spoken in many years. Since I moved up here. I mean, I would still drive down to go visit him and his family. I loved his family. His mom was an angel. His brothers were great. We used to play video games together all the time. And so because I used to hang out with him and everything like that, like, unfortunately, like, he lived in a poor community. But I didn't care. I didn't care if, like, people would think that it was a dangerous community or whatever. It didn't bother me at all. He was my best friend, so I was going to go and hang out with him. I didn't care what time it was. I would go to his house at 1 o'clock in the morning, knock on his window and be like, hey, let's go to Taco Bell. Let's go hang out at Walmart or whatever. And let's just, whatever. So we would. And I remember we went to go see The Simpsons when the movie came out. We went to go see The Simpsons at a midnight showing. And so because of that, it was late when we got out of the theater, and I was driving him home. And it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and we got pulled over. And it didn't occur to me right away what happened until it happened. But we got pulled over, and the cop, she looks at us, and she's like, where are you going? I said, well, I'm taking my friend home. He lives right here. Like, we literally got pulled over right in front of his neighborhood, which is a predominantly black neighborhood, and it's a lower income neighborhood. And cops were just staked out right there. I said, where are you going? I said, I'm just taking my friend home. He lives right here. And instead of saying, okay, well, go ahead, because it was late, there's no cars out on the road. Instead of saying, okay, go ahead, license or registration, and she's like looking in the car, looking. I don't know what she was looking for. She's looking in the car. She sees my friend. Who's this? Who's this big black guy? Like he was like 6'1" and like freaking. He was like this big dude. But he was such a sweet guy. Like he would never hurt anybody. I don't even think he's ever been in a fight in his life. As far as I've known him, and I've known him since middle school, I've never seen him ever be in a fight or anything like that. He would never hurt anybody in his life. But at that moment, and I didn't realize it at first, he was being racially profiled, and he was in my car, and because of that, I was being profiled as well. So I ended up getting this ridiculous ticket that if I were to pay, it would have been $300-400. And so I gave it to my my lawyer who handles all the traffic claims or speeding violations or whatever. I gave it to him, but like I didn't realize it at the moment because it was late. It's 3:00. I didn't realize what was happening at that moment until later when I realized what was happening at that moment. And thankfully, it didn't progress further from there. But it never should have. That should never have happened to begin with. At all, never. And it did. It did. In high school, I was on the track team in high school. And because I was on the track team, I had made friends with the football players. Because the football players, they would be on the track team on their off year. Or not off year, on off season. To, stay in shape and everything like that. And so, the football players in my high school were predominantly black. The track team in my high school was predominantly black. And the track coach was a black teacher. And again, I faced racism because of the color of my skin. Because I was not black, the track coach refused to put me in starting, even though I was faster than a lot of the kids that were there. The track coach refused to put me on starting, and because of the color of my skin, he put me on long distance running, which I was not good at. Racism goes all around, regardless of your skin, regardless of your ethnicity. It goes all over. And even like I said, I'm not Jewish, but I grew up in a Jewish household, so I respect the Jewish religion and the Hebrew nationality, and I actually celebrate some of the Jewish holidays in my school, in my house, and with my kids, because my mom and my dad, not my stepdad, my brother, my sister, they're Jewish. So I grew up in a Jewish household. And so because I grew up in a Jewish household, I would be made fun of because my family was Jewish. People would make insensitive jokes about Nazis and ovens and all these things. Horrible. And because my name is Christian, when I would go to Hebrew school, I would be made fun of there. I got in trouble at Hebrew school because the rabbi called my parents saying that I was telling the students or the other kids there that my name was Christian. They had to make up a Hebrew name for me. They had to just make up a Hebrew name for me. And I got in trouble because one of my friends that I've known since the second grade went to that Hebrew school, and he would call me by my name. He would call me Christian because that was my name. So not only would I get made fun of by kids for being in a Jewish family, I would get made fun of by the Jewish kids because my name was Christian. I would get picked on and ended up in fights because I was different. I would end up in fights because I would stand up for my friends who were black. In middle school, in high school, it's wrong. It's so wrong. I ended up defending one of my friends who was a black Jew. Only for years later to end up on the opposite side of him in a fight because he ended up joining a gang in high school. And they were about to hurt some other kid in high school, and I wasn't going to stand for that even if he was my friend. Because of race. Because people feel the need to find protection. To find people like themselves who will look out for them. Because they feel like nobody else will. And sometimes that puts them on the wrong side of things. After high school, he ended up in and out of jail, and because he had it tough. He had it tough, and I understand. My best friend's family, they had it tough. After his father passed away, they lost their house. Nobody was there to help them. Constantly in and out of different houses, constantly moving into bad neighborhoods. With cops always waiting outside of their neighborhoods. Always. Always staked out outside of his neighborhood. No matter what neighborhood he lived in. And him and his family didn't deserve that at all. His mom was a hard worker. His brothers were going to school. He was going to school. Nobody deserves that kind of treatment. So all lives matter, but Black Lives Matter. I'm not saying to go and join the rioting and stuff like that. And if you join the protesting, please be very careful. Please. It's so rough to see so many people hurting each other every day. Every day. And I don't want to hear that one of you who interact with me almost every day, I don't want to hear that one of you have been arrested or have been hurt or anything like that. I understand what's going on is very important. I completely understand. Just please be safe in whatever it is you're doing, because it's only going to get worse. And we don't know when it's going to get better. And again, like this isn't a normal thing that I would be discussing on a stream or hell even really in Discord, because I don't like to talk about real things, because we use this as a platform to get away and to escape the realities of the world, even if it's just for a little bit. But I needed to talk about this because it's just bothering me, and I'm afraid for some of my friends and family members who are out there in the middle of this. I'm afraid for them. I'm afraid for my children having to grow up in this kind of world. It just gets to you after a while. That's all. And so, like, I just wanted to talk about my experiences with racism, and because it goes always. It does. I don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. It goes always, whether you're black, white, Hispanic, whatever, Chinese, Hebrew. It goes always. Muslim. God, I even had to face racism with my own parents. That hurt me. My mom, I had one of my good friends. His name is Muhammad. My mom didn't want him over because he's Muslim. Because they were Jewish and he's Muslim. She didn't want him over. And I told her I don't care. He's one of my best friends, and he would never do anything to hurt anybody. So I don't care if you don't want him over, he's coming over. He's going to hang out. He's going to, if I want him to come over and play video games, he's going to come over and play video games. I got so upset at her. I yelled at her. I told her, what's next? You're going to tell me that my friend Brandon can't come over because he's black? Stop looking at the color of people's skin. Stop looking at their nationalities. Just look at them to be as people. Children know better than most adults do. God. I don't care if you're black, white, Chinese, Hispanic. I don't care. I don't care if you're gay, straight, lesbian, bisexual, transsexual. I don't care what you are, who you are. You're you. You're a person. I'm going to treat you like that. I'm going to treat you with respect because you're a person. So anyways, I just wanted to talk about this for just a little bit, kind of vent and share my thoughts on it. I haven't been saying anything on social media. I haven't been saying anything on live streams about this, or not even really in Discord. Nothing. I mean, I talked a little bit in Discord, but in the serious talk section. But other than that, like, I haven't really addressed anything because I didn't know how to address it. But I just needed to talk about it a little bit. I just needed to. Black Lives Matter. And I want everybody to be safe. Please. So I'm gonna head out, guys. I know this is different. This is not, this is not what we do on the channel, but I just had to. I just had to. I just can't do it anymore. My wife cries because her uncle and her cousin are in the police force in San Diego and LA. My wife cries for them. They're good people. They're good people. But because they're cops who joined to help people like them because they're Hispanic, and because there's so much hate against Hispanics and Mexicans around California because of the government and everything. They wanted to help people. They're good people. But because they're cops, they're getting hate. And that's why this has been so hard, because it's everywhere. It doesn't matter if you're a good person or not, because it's affecting you. It doesn't matter anymore. But because they're cops, they're seen in a negative light. Just how because you're black, you're seen in a negative light. Because you're Hispanic, you're seen in a negative light. Doesn't matter what kind of Hispanic you are. Guess what? To white people, you're Mexican. It doesn't matter. That's why when I played Life is Strange 2, I got so upset. If you guys watched me play that, you know how upset I got in that game for just relying on racism so casually. Anyways, I'm gonna get out of here, guys. I'm just gonna relax for a little bit. I was gonna stream on Twitch, but I couldn't. I was gonna stream at 2 o'clock. I was gonna stream on Twitch, and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it today. So thank you guys for listening to me today. And just please be safe. Please. God, please be safe. I'll see you guys later.